Good afternoon. Everybody's braved it this far on day 3. So a big thanks for the organizer for the invitation and congratulations on a beautiful conference. Right, and the guys in GIS, really well, good meeting. So we're going to spend the day in my Cath lab today. So this is a typical day in my Cath lab. Here we have somebody on the table. Oh, the video's not working. Let me try it again.
That's because of AI. That's because of AI.
That's because of AI. So here we have a patient with an LAD lesion. We tried it outside and it worked anyways. We have a patient with an LAD lesion that's relatively long, a little bit calcific, with a bifurcation. You can imagine it. It's not important in the video, actually. The very handsome interventional cardiologist looks up and said, let's open the IVUS. Right? And the general feeling in the room...
not working?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Doesn't matter. It's not important. The video is not important for this talk. So the cardiologist looks up, so let's open the IVUS. And if they're not saying it, that's what your team are feeling, right? Come on, really? You know, do you really have to do it now? It's a long day. Just do the case, right? And we've heard it time and time again in this meeting that we're underutilizing intravascular imaging globally, not just here, globally, in indicated cases. So why is that the case? Well, cost is something we can't run away from. Regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of how rich or poor you are, cost is an issue that we have to look after. I can't do anything about cost. But time is also a factor. It's 3 p.m., 4 p.m., there's 4 more cases. I want to go home, I'm hungry, my kids are hungry, come on, Hani, just balloon, stent balloon, get out. You know, that's definitely a factor, and that's something that will always, you know, sometimes the first case will get IVUS and the third case, which is exactly the same case, doesn't get IVUS because you have to go home and people are tired. Third case, and this was definitely the case to many of us when we start off, I'm afraid that I can't interpret what I see in front of me. I'm relatively new in imaging. I'm not confident that I can make a decision based on what I'm seeing, so it may not be actionable imaging. So I would rather just go angiographic guidance because I know the angiogram and I'm not very comfortable with IVUS or OCT. So what do I, as a clinician, want from AI? I want it to make me more efficient. So I want to do the same case with the same quality but faster, right? And I want a minimal disruption to the workflow. I don't want it to delay my next cases. I want to do everything I'm doing now, but faster. And I also want better quality. So accuracy, I don't want to miss something. I might not be very good at image interpretation. I really don't want to miss something. I want it to tell me what I'm missing. And I want to reduce the gap between myself and somebody who's, okay? Guys? I don't need the videos, well, that's okay. Okay. So I want to reduce the gap. So here we are on a constant, never-ending journey to improve ourselves. And we all start somewhere and we keep going. It's never going to end. And I'm somewhere down here. I'm a beginner. I'm a young guy, handsome, but still young and inexperienced. And I want to learn to do more OCT. And my colleague here, who's at least 20 years older than me, and does a lot of cases and is very experienced. So is it the patient's fault that I'm operating on the patient and not my colleague who's more experienced? Or can AI get me closer to him so we can have the same result even though I'm less experienced in using this technology? Now, we're all aware of MLD Max, has been described many times. This is the current workflow for everybody who does intravascular guided intervention. And as we do our case, let's see, is the video going to work today? No video. It's okay. It's okay. You can imagine it. So as we do our first pullback with the current generation of AI, with the press of a button, with zero effort from me, zero effort, I've got MLD in front of me, right? First question, calcium or no calcium? Yes, calcium. Is it thick? Is it circumferential? Where is it? I can see exactly where it is. I know exactly what I need to target, number one. Number two, L and D, so length and diameter, it's right there in front of me. So it gives me my distal landing zone, my proximal landing zone automatically with my EEL and my lumen dimension. So I've got all the data that I need. However, I do not have a 36.6 millimeter stent, so I need to go to 38. So I do 2 seconds of work and just elongate it a little bit, and I've got all the data that I need. My MLD is done with zero effort for me, right? And that's the role of AI in this case. I can still do the case very well, but I'm doing it much faster now because the data is in front of me. So I've done my lesion preparation, and I've re-imaged. And now I can see the calcium fracture because I'm an OCT operator and I'm very comfortable at identifying fracture, but the AI also tells me that there's a break in this big orange curve going across. So I know that I've prepared this lesion. Now this is not reliable, but this is very easy and it's very simple to look at. And then I've gone on and I've stented the vessel and I need to look at my expansion. Again, no effort from me. I've done nothing. I've pressed the button and it automatically tells me that, look, you're underexpanded here. It gives me an angiographic reference to where I'm underexpanded. I don't need to do much work. I need to go back with my balloon and focus on that area. If there was a malapposition, it would give me a yellow line. There's no yellow line so far. It also gives me my current minimal stent area, which is just under 6, which is very good. It's above 5. So I go back and I optimize and I re-image again. And now it tells me that I'm 93% expanded in my minimal zone and I have an MSA of 6. All the data there, zero effort for me. The AI has done it all. All I have to do is go to both edges and make sure there's no edge dissection and the job's done. If I had malapposition, it would show me a yellow line. I can go there and it will show me the lumen. It'll say, Hani, there's a 3.5 lumen, take a 3.5 balloon, and you're likely to get better apposition if you go there. Again, no effort from me. I used to have to do this manually when we started doing OCT a long time ago. So this is OCT. Moving on to IVUS. Now, traditionally, IVUS has been much more labor intensive, and there's a sigh of relief in my cath lab when I say open the OCT and I don't say open the IVUS, because it's always going to take a little bit longer to do the IVUS. You can see this is your typical case, 100 bookmarks, you go up and down, you do all these measurements. So what's changed recently with IVUS? Well, the newest interpretation is not as good as OCT, but it's a lot better than where it was. So it will give you the L and the D. It won't give you morphology specifically, but it will give you hints. So here's your typical current generation IVUS. It was alluded to. It's got the lumen detection. So what do we see? So we have the automated lesion assessment. All right, and if we go through this one by one, here we've got the size of the vessel. So you can see how big the vessel is even without doing any measurement. Here you've got your lumen. Here you've got your EEL. And in between your lumen and EEL, you've got your plaque. So just by looking at this lovely cartoon, I can see where there's very minimal difference between the two, there's very little plaque. Big difference between the two, there's a lot of plaque. You can also look at positive remodeling and negative remodeling, looking at the same thing. Now our EEL was nice and straight, but now we've got a dotted EEL. And this tells me, and this is where the hints come in, it doesn't tell me the morphology, but it tells me that there's high attenuation. Could be calcium, could be lipid pool, could be thrombus, but there's something there giving us high attenuation. So there are clues. You can also see here, if in a calcific vessel, again, it doesn't tell you this is calcium, but when you see the attenuation and you look above in the luminal profile, you can tell it's very calcific. So where do we go? As you look at your lumen profile, you can see these big steps as we go along. This again is a major side branch. So the lower one is an LED diagonal bifurcation. The higher one is a left main bifurcation. When your lumen suddenly jumps in size with both EEL and lumen, then you know that there's a major side branch. That's another way to co-register it in your mind. So here we are. As we do our pullback, you press a button, and again, with no effort from me, it automatically looks at my landing zones. It chooses landing zones for me. And the way it does that is it looks for your lesion, and it states that this is your worst lesion, this is your minimal area, and it goes more than 5 millimeters each way, and it keeps going until it reaches a good landing zone that's got a 50% or less plaque burden. So it says this is a safe place to land your stent. Now, once you do that, you can go and you look at your MLA. In this case, it's an MLA of 1.2. I've got a plaque burden of 90%. I've done no work. This is purely automatic. And as I go at my landing zones, I just press bookmark left and right, and it will give me a measurement. So it's 30 millimeters apart. You press another button, and you have in one screen everything you need to know. So it gives me the length, it gives me my distal reference, and it gives me my proximal reference. So I choose a stent based on my distal reference knowledge, size, and I would optimize it based on my proximal reference. Again, very little manual work compared to the older system. Now that we've done our post-PCI, we need to have a look at the expansion, apposition, and edge dissection. Now, it doesn't give you apposition, so you have to do that yourself. So you're looking for a floating stent as you're looking at the run, but it will give you expansion. So as you look at your expansion, you can look at your lumen and see if there are big bumps in the road, if it's really narrowed somewhere, and it will tell you that this is probably the area of least expansion. So you've identified where you may be less expanded than the rest of the stent. And as you do that, you find your expansion. It gives you the stent area, which is 7.2. You go just distal to your stent, because my underexpanded area is at the distal end of the stent. I go just distal and I bookmark and reference it, and it will give me a percentage expansion. So this will tell me I've got a 5% residual stenosis, So we have 95% expansion just from this one picture. You then, the only effort you have to do is go distal and proximal and make sure that there are no edge dissections along the way. So to summarize, in current generation AI intravascular imaging, we find that it enhances image interpretation, so you improve your quality and you reduce variability. It improves workflow efficiency. We are a lot faster now than we were last year with IVUS, and obviously Ultrasound 2 came a couple of years ago. So when that came out, that also increased our efficiency. So if you're an experienced operator, you still would have spotted the calcium, you still would have managed it the same way, but you do it a lot faster. So you can get on with your cases faster and you don't ruin your workflow. At present, and as suggested by my predecessor, this is not a replacement for human intelligence, it just augments our work. So at present, human judgment is still very important and context remains essential. We're still clinicians, we make decisions for our patients, but this just makes us make maybe faster decisions, maybe better decisions, but we still have to make the decisions. Thank you.